The crowd laughed at first. Phones were raised, whispers turned into daring smiles, and a line was crossed without anyone realizing it. What began as a harmless joke in a historic square suddenly became a moment that would change how everyone there understood strength, respect, and kindness. Because when pride meets patience and mockery meets quiet dignity, the result isn't always what you expect. Sometimes it becomes a lesson that stays with you long after the laughter fades. If stories like this move your heart, take a moment to subscribe, like, and comment. Your support helps us share more real, meaningful moments. This is Royal Guard Heart Stories, where discipline meets humanity. The square was busy that afternoon, filled with tourists from all over the world. Families posed for photos, couples pointed at landmarks, and street sounds blended into a steady hum. At the center of it all stood the Royal Guards, tall, still, and unwavering. Their posture was perfect. Their expressions were calm. To many, they looked like statues dressed in tradition. A group of young tourists stepped closer. One waved a hand inches from a guard's face. Another made exaggerated faces, hoping for a reaction. The laughter grew louder as phones kept recording. In their minds, it was just entertainment. They assumed the guards were cold, emotionless, untouchable. But what they didn't understand was the discipline behind that stillness, or the human heart behind the uniform. One tourist crossed the line, stepping too close and bumping into the guard's polished boot. The laughter stopped. The square seemed to hold its breath. People expected shouting. Some expected force. A few even stepped back, ready to see trouble unfold. Instead, the guard did something no one expected. He slowly shifted his gaze, not in anger, but with calm authority. His voice, when he spoke, was quiet and steady. He reminded the tourist of the rules, not as a threat, but as a reminder of shared respect. There was no humiliation, no raised tone, just control. The tourist's face changed. Embarrassment replaced confidence. The crowd watched as the young man apologized, suddenly aware of how small his joke had been. Then, something even more powerful happened. The guard noticed the tourist's shaking hands and nervous expression. Instead of turning away, he offered a small nod, an unspoken gesture that said, "It's okay. Learn and move on." That single moment dissolved the tension completely. Later, as the crowd thinned, an older man approached the guard. He spoke with a soft American accent and said he had served in the military years ago. He thanked the guard, not for enforcing rules, but for showing restraint. "You didn't just protect tradition," the man said. "You protected that kid from becoming a bigger mistake." Nearby, the same tourist stood quietly with his friends. The phone that had been recording was now in his pocket. He watched the guard with new eyes, not as an object for entertainment, but as a person carrying responsibility, pressure, and pride. Before leaving, the tourist walked back. He stood at a respectful distance and said thank you, not loudly, not for attention, just honestly. That moment didn't go viral online. There was no dramatic headline, but it went viral in the hearts of the people who saw it. Because kindness doesn't always look soft. Sometimes it stands tall, wears discipline, and chooses patience over power. For many in the crowd, especially those visiting from the United States, it was a reminder of something deeply familiar. That real strength isn't about proving dominance, it's about knowing when not to. The Royal Guard returned to his post, silent and still once again. But everyone around him had changed. They stood a little straighter. They spoke a little quieter. And they left with a story they would tell not for laughs, but for meaning. In a world where reactions are quick and anger spreads fast, moments like this remind us that kindness can be firm, dignity can be gentle, and respect can change a situation before it becomes a conflict. So the next time you see someone holding their ground with grace, remember this story. And wherever you are, choose kindness. It might be the strongest move you ever make.